I'm going to try to do a demo here of Hypershade materials. I'm going to add the same material to all these objects so that we can see how the material appears in different curves, flat surfaces facing different directions within the context of a light or a lit environment. I've created a cylinder, a sphere, a cube, and a ground plane. And I'm going to turn on the textures, and I'm going to turn on lights. Now what's happened here is I've made, this is the viewing port of the scene. I've made it sensitive to textures and to lights, but there are no lights in the scene. So very first thing I'm going to do is add a light. I'm going to use Arnold materials, Arnold renderers, and Arnold lights. So we might as well add an Arnold light here. So Arnold lights, sky dome light. So it's very white, very bright, but let's see what it would look like rendered, because what we see in this window, I'm going to try not to accidentally move anything in this window because I want to take snapshots of the various renders. What we're going to see in this window and what we're going to see is a render. In other words, if we were going to export this as an animation from Maya, would be different things. So let's look at what the render would look like. This is the Arnold, this is Arnold renderer. So you see it's quite different. There are some shadows here, but that's what it would look like. And in the Arnold renderer, it often takes a few seconds. So always let it complete if you're going to do the next step, which is to store a snapshot. You don't have to let the renderer complete if you can see it's totally wrong. You can stop it and do something else. I think that's the stop button. So I can rename this snapshot, and I'll say, what is this? This is default material, and it's been rendered. I'm just going to close this, I think, every time. Well, let's see actually what happens if I hit the renderer again. Yeah, so the snapshots are retained here. There's the little working, what is it? The little working bar, loading bar. Anyway, so I can close it and open it again and still have the snapshots. Okay, so we know how to, if I click on an object and I right click and pull down material attributes, we've seen this before. When we create new materials, we have a color where we insert the file for the image, texture, etc. But we're going to do this a slightly different way. We're going to make one material and apply it to everything in the scene. And we're going to do that with the Arnold, with the, I hover over it, the Hypershade window. This little, looks like a teal olive. We'll open the Hypershade window. So this is the Hypershade window. It has several materials already built into it, but we're going to create a new one. Here's the light that we just made. It appeared in here when we created the light. And if we want to see, for instance, if we want to see here they are. Textures, this is materials. So these are our materials that already exist so far. Textures, utilities, here's the lights. And so that's our light here. This is the node editor. We can push this just over here somewhere. We're going to connect materials, material nodes with wires. But first we have to create a new material. I'm going to go back to materials. So in this node editor, there's, for instance, we can click Arnold, And we can see AI barn door and AI two-sided, but there are a lot more options here than maybe we're used to. So rather than go try to hunt them down, or other options we might find in Maya or other places, we can click into the node editor and click tab. Tab opens this search window. I'm going to say AI standard. Oh, that's IA. AI standard. So there we are. AI standard surface we're familiar with. My computer's a little laggy. There we go. So this is the standard surface, and this is the output. That's all I can say. This goes to the output, and that will appear on objects in the scene. I'll just bring this down a little bit. So this is the AI standard surface we just created. If we click on it and hit the back button or the delete button, it'll delete. But let's not do that. We're going to make some changes to this. And once I click, if I click on this, I get some different properties here. If I click on the AI standard surface, we're very familiar with this. We've seen this before. Here's the color. And I'm just going to click on the target here. This is also very familiar. I'm going to choose File. Now we have some new nodes. Man, this is really laggy. I've got several other softwares running, including making this video, so maybe that's why. So this is a 2D texture. Here's where the file will go. Here's the surface. And if I click on the file, we have this familiar file folder. And I can go there, click there, and go to my, oh, I see. I have to, this is a new version of Maya. I downloaded 2026 thinking it would help the lag. So let me go to find my textures. So there's documents. This is not what you would do. This is where I have to go. Pubs. Courses. But this may help you if you haven't done this yet. So navigate to wherever you're keeping your textures and maps. So I've been courses. This is Dig 320, and I have textures, CCO, Creative Commons 0 license. So I'm actually going to go. I go up one. So maybe. Is there a way to go up one layer? No. Oh, here. There we go. And here's textures CCO, and I'll just drag this up here into the folder bookmarks. And now that will always be there next time I come back. Then I'll look at, so that's my textures Creative Commons 0 license folder. And then here's my bricks color JPEG. It's the square image of bricks. It appears here in the file 1, and I can change that to like brick texture. And now that changed here, and this name didn't change, or it changed to something else. But in any case, now I have a brick texture here. But the AI standard surface is, I'm just going to call bricks. So I have brick texture here, and that's the photographic image, and you can see it appears here on what I'm going to call the swatch. And if this is a 3D object, and I can treat it just like the portal in a Maya. I hold down Alt and use my left mouse button, and I can rotate. I can use my middle mouse button and zoom in and out. Don't lose this thing. I don't know what to do if I have trouble with that. So there's my there's a 3D object that kind of previews what the texture is going to look like. Thing is, the next map, this is the image map or the color map or the texture map. The next map I'm going to add also needs to plug into the base color. It's called the occlusion map, the ocular occlusion map. Occlusion maps are like where the shadows or shade would be on a cloudy day when there's no directional light. For instance, like a cloudy or foggy day when there's kind of ambient light everywhere. No, not a lot of harsh shadows. There's still going to be darker areas, maybe more inset, from the surface, or it could just be textural things the artist added to get damp spots or something. I need to add that. I need to multiply, in fact, this image texture with the ambient occlusion map, and it has to go into this base color. So I'm going to delete this little wire. I just clicked on the wire, and I can delete it, or I can just move it until I click away somewhere so that it's gone. So I can do this again if I like. I can come into color. This is the exact same plugin, and click this target and say File. And now I have a new place 2D texture and a new file, just empty window here. I have to add that file, so go ahead and do that. Here's the file folder. There's my textures, and I want the ambient occlusion JPEG. None of these text things, and these seem to be multiplying. I don't know what is creating those, but the JPEG for ambient occlusion. And there you can see it's a little bit different. It doesn't look like bricks. It looks like something else. It's definitely got some lines or something, but it's very dark. So but they both have to be multiplied and come into the base color. This is unspecular. Let's delete this. Start over here. Something went weird. Click this. Color. File. There we go. I don't know. It needs to plug into base color. Both of these need to plug into base color. But we can get the file. And I don't know why that's having trouble opening. Ambient occlusion. There we go. So now it's the base color. This shows a picture of bricks, but this shows the Maya logo. So I don't want this anymore. I just unhook it. And I only need one of these place 2D textures. It's one texture. We're going to take these two files and multiply them together. So I'll get rid of this one. Just delete. But now I have to connect the place 2D texture to both of these files. And this is a stack of pancakes or a hamburger stack or a more button. If I click it a few times till they're all white, in fact, actually maybe one more time? No, I guess that's it. You can see there's a lot of connections all going into this input. And then this one goes into UV coordinator. So it's really a lot to think about. I'll just minimize that again. But it turns out that there's a way to make this connect to this exactly the same way, and that is with this clicked, I hold down Control and then push down the middle mouse button, and there's no wire forming, but you see that little plus sign at the bottom of my arrow cursor, and I just drag it here, and so now all those many wires have been connected equally to both of these file nodes. Both of these need to export from the color out into the base color, but first they need to be multiplied together. So just like when I created this material, I can click anywhere in here, hit tab, and I'm going to say AI multiply. I could just type multiply, but there would be several choices there, and I'd have to look for the AI multiply, and it's because these are AI textures. So I'm using the middle mouse button to zoom in on these things. I can Alt drag with the middle mouse button to reposition this stuff. I can't rotate this thing. Okay, so color out, input 1. Color out, not alpha, color out. Actually, let's try this. Output alpha, out alpha. You see that it won't latch on. These things go gray. It won't. It knows it doesn't want that input, so that's very handy. We can't accidentally input the wrong thing. So out color, input 1, input 2. They're now been multiplied together, and then out color to base color. And there it is. It's been applied. And now we can apply this to our material. So if I pull this down a bit, we can kind of see these objects here. There's different ways I could add this material, right? But a great way is I can middle mouse click from bricks. This is the material that I've added the texture to and the ambient occlusion to. And so now they're all the same material. But we can look at, let's actually do it. I'll put this out of the way for a second. Let's actually do the render, but we won't take a snapshot yet. Can take a few seconds, and then here's the load bar. It can really take a little time. And it's worth, if you're going to take snapshots, it's worth it to let it go all the way through. So I'm not going to take a snapshot yet. This is the snapshot button. But I'm just going to look at it. And I can see the bricks have been added, but it does look a little bit different. So I'm going to, actually, we can take a photo. No, that's not. I'm going to just close this first. So this is... we've added the image texture and the ambient occlusion, but there's something about, if you recall, the ambient occlusion map is black and white, and the texture map is color, and ambient occlusion maps want to be treated a little bit differently. So let's get the, here it is. I've moved it off screen. Let's get this back and click on the material, which has both of these things. And actually, let's do this because we want to just adjust the ambient occlusion. I can see it. This is the one with the Maya logo, not the photo. Yeah, and under color balance, these want to be alpha set to luminance. You can check this and see if you notice any difference. I don't really, but also the color space here should be maybe utility raw. Do you see a difference there? Check it out. I'm going to click this and choose display sRGB. Watch what happens up here when I choose that. Different, right? So I'm going to change it to raw, utility raw, and I'm going to make sure that alpha is luminance. Still makes no difference to me, but that's what all black and white textures, like the occlusion maps, are supposed to set alpha to luminance. Basically, alpha means transparency, and I'm just guessing that there's no transparency in that image. But this is the standard operating procedure. It's worth remembering to do. And then set the color space to raw, and you can see the difference there. So I made that change so that I could come in here. Let's just see if I can. There we go. So we can see the tops of these things at least. And I'll see if I'll change the color space here. Back to RGB. You see the difference, the change there? I'll do it again. I'll change it back to raw. And that would be utility. So I'm chewing this, but look up there, look up here while I do it. Utility raw. So definitely some difference. So it's worth changing these black and white textures to raw, and it may be worth turning off the alpha as luminance. Many of them will not have any alpha, so it won't make any difference, but that's the protocol. Okay, damn it. I didn't mean, I wanted to not change this camera view. Can I just kind of get back there? I think that's it. Let's see here. So I'm going to just pull this out of the way. Let's take another snapshot. I'm going to go to Arnold, renderer. Kind of loading. Yeah, this looks very much like that. I think this is the same. So I'll hit snapshot. And then this is, I can rename this, and this is image texture, and ambient occlusion. How's that? So this has both of those things applied to it. All right. And the render is very different from this view, so it's worth rendering these and taking these snapshots. So back here, let's do one, let's see, let's do the roughness. So we haven't done that previously, I think. So here's the material. Again, I have to make sure I'm not clicked into one of these other things. This is the material. And it has all these different, I'll just roll them all up. I think that by default some of them are rolled down, including specular. And specular says roughness. There are two kinds of roughness, but the roughness we're looking at is how reflective is the surface. So more rough is less reflective, yeah. So here's specular, and this is roughness, and I'm going to click the target here and say File. And you see this all plugs into specular roughness. That's where we might expect it to go. I'll click on the File node, click on the File folder, and get roughness, the JPEG. I don't know if you noticed that was a black and white image, so we're going to do some things to it. We'll change this to utility raw. We'll make sure that alpha is luminance is checked. So here it is. It's got a Maya logo. It gets its own 2D texture because we're not multiplying it with anything. It goes into specular roughness. We should be able to then render this. And take a snapshot. That doesn't seem any different. I'm going to undo this, or delete this. Actually, this doesn't look shiny at all. This is before we added the roughness. So maybe there's no shininess here to worry about. I will take another snapshot, though. I do think sometimes I take a snapshot before it's fully rendered or something. And in fact, let's render it again. This little... It's not working well. I'm going to go back to Arnold, renderer. And it's done. I'll take a picture. I don't see any difference. That's fine. Let's keep going. I'm going to add one more thing. So there will be 4 different maps applied. The texture map, the image texture, the ambient occlusion. We've just added the specular roughness. We can also, with the specular roughness, we can actually, on the material, we can find the specular roughness, and it's as rough as it can be, so that's fine. And then let's add down here with the material selected, geometry, and we want bump mapping. So I'll click the target, file. Now this goes into the normal camera. There we go. So again, it's a 3D, 2D texture. This needs to add a file to it. It goes into bump, but before we do that, let's click here and make sure that we have bump mapping. Oh, let's add the image. So here's the file. It's empty right now. We'll get the folder. And this should be, so we're using the normals, the normal GL for this. And once it's added, we can, now I think I've seen people treat these like they're black and white, but they are RGB, but I'll still make them utility raw, huh? But I don't think alpha's luminance is required here. And also, somewhere there should be something that says bump. Okay, so here's the file, here's the bump, and it says here 2D bump attributes, but we don't want this as a bump, right? We might want it as a tangent space normal. So there we go. And that should be, I've got a lag here, there we go. That should look a little different in the renderer. Let it finish, take a picture. So you can see quite a bit of difference there, right here. Right in here, yep, right in all the mortar is where there's a lot of gnarly stuff there. But what I didn't notice was, so this was snapshot 04, and this was, I'll rename it now. This was roughness, and we didn't see any difference between these two in this version. And then, but here's the very clear difference, and we'll rename this normal. Alright, and then when you want to save these, there's comments, and we can maybe make a comment here on the rough and say, why no diff versus IMGTEX, and maybe we can, underscore ambient occlusion, AO, lowercase a. And so maybe later on we can come back and answer this question, so that's good for us. And then we can say, those are comments on individual images. And then we can say folder. And I'm going to create a Hypershade demo. Great. I'm going to create a new folder. And call them snaps. Actually, I'll call them snapshots. Copy them or move them. I'll copy them, and we can keep them here as well. Okay, so now I have something I can share with my professor. I'll put those snapshots in my digital portfolio. So it's worth learning to use the Hypershader. It's complex and sometimes a little bit frustrating, but not really nearly as frustrating as not using it because it has so much more control and just more options. So that's that. I'm going to save this this whole thing here. I think I'm saving as, right? Nope, I'm just saved. Okay. I don't want to save as. I just want to save it because I already had a name for it called Hypershade Demo. Okay, so that's it.